to do it, got to do it, baby.
Welcome to Legalish on Dash Talk X. This is your host, Demetria L. Graves with the Graves Law Firm. Offices in Pasadena and Beverly Hills. I am a certified family law specialist, and today we are talking about dads in custody. Today's topic is dads win custody too. I know there's a big misconception these days that only moms win custody, but that is no longer the case. And we will have a special guest who will let us know that no, dads win custody too. So when I started practicing approximately way more years than that, but about 10 years ago, that was kind of the trend. Moms were winning custody. Moms were the primary parent and dads paid support, and they had the alternating weekend schedule. But over the years, that has changed. There are way more fathers obtaining custody. There are way more fathers sharing joint custody. And moms need to be aware that moms don't automatically win custody because they are mom. So if you look at the family code, at least here in California, the standard already states custody should be awarded to both parties first. And we look at what we call the best interest of the child. And as we've seen over the years, it is very, very beneficial for children to have a bond to both parents. They are known to do better in school, better in life in general, blah, blah, blah. So before, I think fathers just got afraid of the system. And there's been this misconception that moms win custody, so why should I even try? Or I'm too busy, I'm just going to give her custody. But as we will hear today, there are fathers who are out there fighting. So what do the courts even look for when they are going to decide who gets custody? Because when we say best interest, that's actually very, very vague, right? So we have to consider how the proximity of the parties, because it's really hard to share custody if one party lives in Los Angeles and the other party lives in Pomona. Because if your children go to school in Los Angeles, it kind of doesn't make sense to make them transport them from Pomona to Los Angeles every day. So we're looking at that. We're looking at work schedules. What's mom's work schedule? What's dad's work schedule? What did you typically do before the relationship ended? Who is the child most bonded to, quote unquote? And the working situation is different, right? Because nowadays everybody needs childcare. Everyone needs help. So the courts won't say you can't have custody because you go to work, because we all employ help when we need to, when we want to go out or we have meetings or whatever it may be. So that's not necessarily a factor to eliminate custody. It's just a factor the court will consider. And I think a big factor courts consider is which parent is more likely to, quote unquote, share the kid or engage in frequent and continuous contact. That's the legal jargon. So if you're one parent and the kid is always busy, can't talk to dad or mom, you hide the phone calls, hide the text messages, that is not going to look good for you. So the court's going to look at the best interest of the kid. And as we talked about, the first standard is we're going to award the kid to both parties first. Now, if that can't go into play, then no, it's not automatically mom. But we need to talk about the different development stages for kids. Because if we're talking about a newborn and mom is breastfeeding, well, we might not be in a joint custody situation yet or primary custody to mom. But as kids get older, as infants, it's better that children see their parents more frequently. So it's better if you see the kid, every day for 2 hours, 3 hours versus overnights. But then that changes, right? So as kids get older, then yeah, it makes sense to have some overnights over here with dad, over there with mom. However, like I talked about, depending on the proximity of the parties, because you don't want to put burden on your children just to say that you have joint custody. But the point of today's show is to encourage men to seek custody of their children. It might not necessarily be full custody, but it can be a shared custody plan. It can be more than what you have now. You cannot be afraid because you are dad that you won't get custody. But what you don't want to do is continue to wait and not have anything in place. Because then if you have a 5-year-old and you haven't done anything and then he's 15 and you're going for custody, well, you haven't really been there. Or the courts are going to want to know, okay, well, what's been going on and where are they doing their activities and where are they going to school and that sort of thing. So don't wait. And I think that's the point of this. And when we have our call, you will see that it can happen, even if mom files. Because a lot of times people say, well, she filed, so she'll probably win. And that is not the case. So we're going to get prepared for our special guest. He's going to tell us how he was able to win custody. He's going to tell us some of the challenges that come into play when you have full custody, right? Because then you're responsible for transporting to school. You're responsible for the activities for the most part. If you're the quote unquote primary parent, what does that look like? And he's a man raising a young woman. So what does that look like? The challenges of raising a young woman as a man, if you don't have other women that are influential in her life. And how to continue to encourage that relationship with the other parent if you don't necessarily see eye to eye, because I still think that that's important. As long as both parents are capable adults, I think it's extremely important that they have a relationship with both parents. So our guest is going to talk to us about how he even won custody, the challenges of raising a young woman. And if he decided to get child support or not, because I've seen with a lot of men, a lot of times they opt not to get child support, which is an interesting concept. So hang in there. I will be right back, and we are going to hear from our special guest.
We just talk, can we just talk about where we're going before we get lost? Let me our thoughts, can't get what we want without knowing. I've never felt like this before. I apologize if I'm moving too far. Can we just talk? Can we just talk? Figure out where we're growing. Yeah. Started off right, I can see it in your eyes. I can tell that you wanting more. What's been on your mind? There's no reason we should hide. Tell me something I ain't heard before. Oh, I've been dreaming about it, and it's you I'm on. So stop thinking about it. Can we just talk? Can we just talk about where we're going before we get lost? Let me our thoughts, can't get what we want without knowing. I've never felt like this before. I apologize if I'm moving too far. Can we just talk? Can we just talk? Figure out where we're growing. Oh, no. Penthouse view, left some flowers in the room. I'll make sure I leave the door unlocked. Now I'm on the way, swear I won't be late. I'll be there by 5 o'clock. Oh, you've been dreaming about it, and I'm what you want. So stop thinking about it. Can we just talk? Can we just talk about where we're going before we get lost? Let me our thoughts, can't get what we want without knowing. I've never felt like this before. I apologize if I'm moving too far. Can we just talk? Can we just talk? Figure out where we're growing.
Welcome back to Legalish on Dash Talk X with Demetria L. Graves. I am so excited because today we have a special guest, Sylvester. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hey, how's it going, Demetria? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming to share your story. Today's topic is dads win custody too, because people still think dads don't have custody. So I'm so happy that you actually do.
Yeah,
So
I got custody like twice. This is my second time having full custody, and so I actually had custody twice. I never even thought about it. I was raised by single moms, so when the time came when me and the mother of my child split, it just was a no-brainer to me that I had to take care of my child, and I didn't know no other way.
when the process first started, who filed, you or her?
So when we first started off, she filed.
Mm-hmm.
She filed, and I won custody in my response.
So when she filed, kind of what were you thinking? Were you thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's the process like?
It was the worst day of my life. It was it was worse than death. At least death, you couldn't feel it but it was a pain that the person that you love the most in your life, which was my daughter, was here on this earth, but I wasn't going to be able to see her or anything. So it was the worst day of my life when she filed.
Did you have any reservations about going to court? Did you think, oh man, courts favor mom or courts favor women? Did you have any of those reservations?
I did not, just for the simple fact that I was raised around women. My mom raised me as a single mom, and I didn't even take in consideration that I was a man filing. I just knew as a parent, this is what I had to do. I had to take care of my child. So, so when I was just like, what's my next step? What do I need to do? Because, I need to be in my child's life. So I filed, in response to her filing. Now,
do you think she had maybe an expectation that she would automatically get custody?
I definitely think that was the case because just, when you're arguing back and forth in relationships, not to go into detail, but yeah, she had hinted towards it. Oh yeah, you're going to be paying for custody voluntarily or involuntarily. And, and I was doing really good at the time. I had my real estate license. I was in insurance underwriting. So yeah, I definitely think that was her. I can't say for sure, but I definitely think that was her thinking. But I just wasn't on that wavelength. I just knew that, I was not going to leave the most important person in my life. I was not going to be out of her life.
So when you went to court, what was that experience like for you? Did you feel the judge was fair? Kind of walk us through that process.
So when I went into court, I told my story. I told the judge, hey, Your Honor, my daughter's been in my life, all the way up until this point. My daughter was about 3 years old at the time. And I said, she's not in the mother of my child just took her. There was no custody order in place. She just took her and she went to go stay with her friend. And, I got the paperwork, and in response, I was there. And I told the judge my story, how, I take care of my child, I have the medical, dental, I'm in her life every day. And when the judge finished hearing my story, he told me, he said, I want you to go get your daughter. My daughter she was in preschool at the time. He said, I'm going to write you a custody order. You go get your daughter and you bring your daughter home. And then, we'll continue this matter.
And what was the other party's response?
So I don't even know, at that moment when the judge said that. So at that moment when the judge said that, as soon as he said it after my story, it was such an odd feeling in the courtroom because the people that were sitting in the court, they started clapping.
Oh, wow.
It was in Inglewood Courthouse, and they started clapping. And I noticed it because I was walking out, and I had tears in my eyes. And I was walking out, and, a lady, she grabbed my hand. She was like, that's good, young man, that's good. And I was just making a beeline to go get my daughter because at that point, I hadn't seen my daughter in 3 days. So I didn't even look back to see what her, the reaction was or anything.
So did she fight once you won custody that first time? Did she fight you on that, or was she? Did she?
Yeah. It was a temporary custody order. So we went back to court, and we went back to court, I think like a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And by this time, I'm raising my daughter. I'm taking her to school. I'm braiding her hair. When I say I'm braiding her hair, nobody ever told me, my daughter's hair is coarse.
Right.
We're black, so nobody ever told me how to braid hair. So I'm sending my daughter to school with these barrettes that's sticking straight up in the air. Nobody told me how to lay down the hair. And I was just apologizing to my daughter every day. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to figure this out. Daddy's going to figure it out. Like, YouTube wasn't, Providence, so I couldn't Google it. But, it was a year later of me just, taking care of my daughter, taking her to school, feeding her, just being her, her provider, so we went back to court. When we went back to court, the judge eventually gave us a 50-50 order, and it wasn't that I was fighting the 50-50 order, because at that point, that's why I wanted to tell about that part about me raising my daughter. At that point, I was like, she needs her mom.
Right.
She needs her mom.
Right.
I was raised by my mom. She's a little girl. She needs her mom. So at that point, the 50-50 custody order was put in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long after so you initially had custody, then you guys went to 50-50 custody. And I think that's really big of you to acknowledge, hey, she needs her mom.
Yeah.
That's
Even
really
to
important.
this day, while I have full custody right now, exactly. That's who I am. Like, she needs her mom, even to this day, so the 50-50 custody went on until my daughter, became, a teenager. But during that, I have to mention, during that whole time, my daughter, she got really accustomed to the 50. I thought it was terrible. I was like, oh my God, she's like a pinball machine. She's with me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Right.
And then Wednesday, her mom picks her up from school, and then we were alternating weekends. I didn't understand how she was even my daughter. I didn't understand how she was doing it. But eventually, I guess the courts know what they're doing, because eventually she got used to it.
Right.
She got 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays.
Everything.
Yeah. So
did you guys live close in proximity to each other?
Yeah. Not too close. I live in LA, and she lived in the next city over. One in the outskirts city of LA.
Okay.
But it ran its course where she started bumping heads with her mom.
Okay.
As she started getting older, 8, 9, 10, she started bumping heads with her mom, and I was right behind her, like, hey, that's your mom. Whatever rules she have in place, that's what you do over there. When you with me, you're with me. That was the whole my whole precedent, behind her bumping heads. And so, it just became a normal thing for her to, start telling me things that, were going on.
Right. So did you think that her mom was stricter than you and she wanted to get out of that, or you just felt like they just had their differences?
I can honestly say her mom was more strict than I was. I can honestly say that. But it just came to a point where, abuse had took place, between, her and her mom, and my daughter ended up running away. She ended up running away, and, she called me when she ran away. She went to a stranger's phone. And when that took place, of course, we ended up in court. And, I filed again, this time I filed for custody. I wasn't there when the abuse took place. My daughter at this time was 14.
Right.
So I don't know. I knew the family law code at the time, but there's a family law code in the state of California that says when a child is 14, they're able to be heard by a court representative, and they can tell their story. They don't decide where they get to go, but the court will hear what they have to say.
Right.
So that was put into play. My daughter, she's very intelligent, straight A's and B's. She's not a problem child.
Right.
So when she went and spoke, I wasn't in the room. It was just her and the staffer. Her mom wasn't in the room, so she was able to tell her story after 10 years.
Right. And then after hearing the story, what did the court do? Because like you're right. The court does realize at 14, there's a lot going on, right? Kids want their freedom. They want to be where they have the most freedom. However, the courts have to balance that against safety. Their safety.
Right, exactly.
And, she's running away from home. So we clearly have issues. So after hearing the testimony of your daughter, what did the court say?
So the court then, they evaluated both sides. Of course, mom didn't want to give up the 50-50 custody,
Right.
but after I told my story, my daughter told her story. The court representative heard it, the judge heard it. The decision was made, to grant custody to me.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have full custody again.
Okay.
But
And how old is your daughter?
Yeah. She's 14. No, my daughter's 15 now.
Oh, wow.
15 now, yeah.
Wow,
But it happened when she was 14.
Okay. This is
So actually, you know what? Actually, it's going to be a year. It's going to be a year that I had custody next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to take a quick break, and then I want to get into, because everyone always asks this, right? Because sometimes a lot of times, men don't ask for child support. So don't tell us yet.
Right.
Don't tell us yet. But I want to know, are you collecting child support for your daughter, and why, or why not? So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
I've been thinking about you. Wondering who's stuck in your head at night. Wonder if I ever cross your mind. Keeping you up in your bed at night. I've been thinking about you. I can't get you off the brain. Loving you is something strange. Don't get me wrong, I ain't complaining. I've been thinking about you. I'm wondering if your love's a game. Just kissing girls and taking names. Is it love or entertainment? I've been thinking about you. Wondering who's stuck in your head at night. Wonder if I ever cross your mind. Keeping you up in your bed at night. I've been thinking about you. I try to fight it, but it's hard to fight. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. You're a habit hard to break. You're more than a heart can take. There's no exit, no escaping. I've been thinking about you. Maybe you're my destiny. Or maybe just a fantasy. Maybe it's just my imagination. Boy, I've been thinking about you. Wondering who's stuck in your head at night. Wonder if I ever cross your mind. Keeping you up in your bed at night. I've been thinking about you. I try to fight it, but it's hard to fight. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. Early in the morning, think about you all day. Late night in the evening, I can't get you off of my brain. Early in the morning, think about you all day. Late night in the evening, I can't get you off of my brain. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you.
Welcome back to Legalish on Dash Talk X. This is Demetria Graves, and today we are talking dads win custody too. And we have a very, very special guest. Sylvester is on the line. Sylvester, before we get into the child support question, please talk to us about your food truck, because I seen it and Lord, if I wasn't on this diet.
I got some for you know. I got a veggie potato with the broccoli and the kale, the spinach. You be all right, you know.
Can you tell us
need a
about
little
it?
carbs
Because
on top.
I've seen it and it looks so good.
Yeah, so for about a year now, it will be a year next month. Actually, you know, the same time I got custody, I launched my food truck, Mega Potato Stuff. It is a up and coming trendy food truck in LA where, you know, I'm stuffing potatoes with lobster, shrimp, crab, shredded chicken breast, full beef chuck roast, and you know, I'm getting out the potato, mixing everything together. Then I'm, you know, frying the outer shell. So then, you know, after everything is mixing together, you know, the veggies are sauteed. You got the broccoli, the spinach, red, white, and green onions, and topping it with cheese, sour cream, and bacon. All those are options for you
Oh
on
my
my food truck.
God.
Mega Potato Stuff. Mega Potato Stuff. Everybody, you can follow it on Instagram at Mega Potato Stuff. You can follow it all social media at Mega Potato Stuffed with an ED at the end.
Oh, Lord. And where can we find you during the week if we need that? That sounds so good.
Yeah, so that's why it's important to follow me on Instagram, because
Okay.
I post 4 times a day. Every night I post where I'm going to be at the next day.
Okay.
So so I'm definitely local in LA,
Okay.
and on the outskirts of LA, I, you know, travel as well.
Okay.
You know, different events. You know, I've done the Taste of Inglewood. Shout out to the Taste of Inglewood, and you know, like a lot of different local events. And it's a lot of food trucks in LA, but you know, I'm one of them. I'm the only stuffed potato food truck in LA at the time.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Thank you. So back to
Thank you.
you're welcome. Back to the question that everyone always wants to know. Are you receiving child support?
No, I'm absolutely not receiving child support.
And why is that? Did you opt not to file? Does she not work? Why are you not receiving support? Or did you even ask for it?
She definitely works. The court, after, you know, I got custody, there's a separate set of forms you have to fill out to, file for child support. I did not. There's a few reasons why I didn't when I started to think about it. And because you asked, one of the reasons is, as I mentioned earlier, she had, I had custody before.
Right.
And the judge did put in a child support order. And she was paying the child support, but I said, hey, you don't have to give me this. I just want you to be a mom and be there, for your daughter. I don't, I'm not in this for the child support, So I just I didn't want the money to be a distraction to give my daughter what she needs from her mom. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So there's that, and then
well, let me counter that for a minute, and excuse me for jumping in. The money is not for you. The money belongs to your daughter.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and I understand that. I definitely understand that. I didn't want it. When I say I didn't want it to be a distraction, I really believe that my daughter needs her mom.
Right.
I really believe that. I believe that more than anything. I believe that more than receiving child support. I think I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Right.
But I don't want it. I want that, to manifest.
Right.
First. And I know a lot of people pay child support, and there's this whole misconception. Like you just explained it. The child support is not for the other parent. And you're absolutely right.
Right.
But there's a lot of parents, that, I hear about all the time. They pay the child support, and just because that's their legal obligation, there's no time spent with the child, and, there becomes this disconnect, and it just becomes this, I'm taking care of my child because I'm sending them money.
Right.
But as we all know, because we all were kids at one time, we need that. We need that.
Right.
I needed, my father in my life. I needed my mom. There are certain things that's going to be missed if I don't have it. Of course, you get stronger, you make it, and you find other, male figures or mother figures in your life. But, I strongly believe, if there's an opportunity to bond with your natural birth giver,
Right.
then, that should be it. So, I mean, that's a that's a one part of it.
Do you think is it a pride thing? Because this is not just you. I see a lot of men don't ask for support. Some do.
Yeah,
Some do.
Yeah,
but is it a pride thing?
That's the second part too. It's a pride thing, and as we mentioned, I do have my own business, and I'm focused on that right now, and I know that there's goals that I have in place, for my own business, and it is to make sure that my daughter is set, as she get ready to go to college and all that stuff. So I'm focused on that, and I just it just hasn't been a priority because we have been making it so far. But it's not to say that I'm not going to file child support, but I just didn't do it, this first year because, I think the bond is more important than anything. But
does mom voluntarily buy clothes, shoes, or anything that your daughter may need?
They have visitation once or twice a week, and every now and then, she'll get her some items, but it's not. That doesn't take the place of, when my daughter, comes home from school and she has a bad day or, she's on, she's in athletics.
Right.
So, she has a bad game or she has a good game. Those clothes and buying things, that's what I'm saying. The money can't take the place of a physical, able-bodied parent, being there in your life. And I think, I'm fighting against that. Like, I'm trying to, get that to manifest.
Right. So you're more focused on the relationship and not necessarily the financial contribution.
Wow. Why couldn't I say it like that? Yeah. Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. Do you feel like that because you're not focusing on that, do you feel that kind of reduces maybe some of the tension or maybe potential drama that might exist that's
another thing. That's another thing. So when my daughter, early on, she needed braces, they was like, oh, you should get her to go half on the brace. Now, anything that I can do on my own and not kind of raise any type of drama whatsoever, that's just me.
Right.
Anything that I can do on my own, then I'd rather do it on my own just because of, I'll have peace of mind,
right.
and I don't have to, fight like, well, you missed it this month. And, I'm not mentally ready to go through all that right now. So anything that I can take care of on my own, I'm going to take care of. And my hope and my prayer is that, eventually she'll come around and say like, oh, okay, what does she need? And just do it naturally. And, if she does that, then, I would never have to file, child support. But, if things keep going on the way that they are, then I'll be doing a disservice to my daughter by not, having an able-bodied parent, contribute to her life, so. Yeah.
I think that's a very, really good, a good perspective about it, because I think sometimes parties get so focused on the fight and you owe me this and you do this. And it becomes more about their back and forth than really about what you're talking about being great parents to your kid. So sometimes, go ahead.
I was going to say, just speaking on that fight, I mean, we've been to court. I mean, up until this last time where, I got custody, I mean, we were in and out of court so much, and it's exhausting, it is exhausting. I mean, you get there and, you don't see the other parent, and then you see them. When you do see them, it's in court. So, there's this awkward feeling. You got to walk by each other, and don't, whatever the case, you don't speak, or if you speak, it's with some type of shade. Like, court is draining in itself.
Right.
It is, and this whole time, they don't allow the kids to be in the courtroom. They either go to this little daycare center or the child is in school. So, thank God the child is not, drugged through that type of, arena, but, it's draining. So that's another thing, I'm not ready to go back to court, but if I have to, like I said, I'll be doing a disservice to my child, not to, make sure
and in
that
your case, she's what, 15? So, I mean, she's at that age where it's like she's old enough to kind of recognize between the parties what goes on if you do go to court. So you're right. As parents, you have to weigh, okay, do I need this money? Should I be going after this money? And weigh that against, do I want to see our daughters see us go through court, fight each other, be upset, and have that energy in your lives.
Right. Yeah. And I just thank God for this, first year or whatever that I have been able to take care of her and not, depend on, child support or anything like that. And
Right.
just by me, starting my own business and, and my daughter, she helps out with the business too. Like,
That's awesome. That's awesome for her to see.
Yeah. I looked up one day and she was, helping out, at the register, and I'm like, and when I come home, she's like, "How was our sales?" I'm like, "Huh?" Like, yeah, how was our sales? Oh, you don't need to go over there no more because you do better when you go over there. Like, yeah, she's like the CEO of the business. I'm like, man, I thought I'd work for myself, but obviously I work for her. Like,
I love it. I love that she can see that. I love that you have selected to take the high road. Because sometimes people fight, and then they get $200 a month, and then you're like, okay, was it worth?
Right.
That?
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Yeah. And yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. So like I said, to sum it up, about the child support thing, my hope and prayer is that she just comes along and just does the things that she needs to do in her life, because in reality, that's all I'm doing. I'm just doing exactly what needs to be done. Okay.
Right.
And oh my God, you should see when I have to, yeah. So when she was younger and I had to take her ball shopping, it was just like,
oh, we're going to get into that. In our next segment, we're going to get into what is that like to be a father raising a young woman. So this is actually a great place to take.
Show in itself.
Right. This is a great place to take a break. We're going to come back, and then we're going to get into what is it like to raise, your daughter. What is it like to be a single parent and the challenges that come from that? Because it's great that you are doing this, but as single parents, there are challenges, right? And then we're going to wrap it up with tips to other fathers, right? Because this is important, because there are still so many people that think fathers don't get custody, or they have their whatever reasons for not doing what you've done. So I would love for you to speak to the fathers out there that do want to do what you've done when we come back.
I can't lie, I'm scared to open my eyes, 'cause what if I find nothing at all? What is the point of my lips if they don't make noise? What is the point of doing nothing at all? Watching it fall, the flicker burning, the time is running out. Only I see, the diamonds breaking down. I won't stay quiet, 'cause staying silent's the same as dying. I won't stay quiet, the flicker's burning now. This is not a swan song. This is not a swan song. We just gotta hold on.
to Legalish on Dash Talk X with Demetria L. Graves here. And we are finishing our show today, Dads Win Custody 2, with our amazing guest, Sylvester, who has that amazing mega potato stuff truck that I am dying to try.
Pull up.
So Sylvester has explained to us that he's raising his 15-year-old daughter as a single parent. And so I wanted him to explain for us, what are some of the challenges you face as a single parent, and more specifically for you raising a young woman?
Yeah, so like I thought, I never looked at it like it was going to be like any type of challenges, but I was wrong. Like I'm able to admit that I was wrong.
Yeah.
So one of the first challenges that happened, it was actually when we had 50-50 custody. I picked my daughter up from school.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the 4th grade, and my daughter was like, "Dad," and I was like, "What's going on?" She was like, "Mom said when I get older, or maybe in a few years, that I'm going to bleed. Is that true?" Like, and I'm driving, and I'm like, "Wait, like, how was your day at school?" Like,
right.
So, but it's then that it's showtime, right?
Right,
You don't have
right,
a script, so
right.
it's like, well, yeah, it's all a part of becoming a woman.
Yeah.
She was like, "Well, does it hurt?" Like, I was like, "Well, I don't think." She said, "How do you know you're a boy?" I was like, "You know what? You're right. I don't know, but I said you have, aunties, and if I said, I'll tell you what, like, just so you be prepared, I'm gonna have your godmother go get you a kit of everything you need, and you're gonna keep this little kit in your backpack, and when it does happen, you'll be ready."
Right.
I said your godmother and your god sister, they'll explain it to you. So it helps to have that support team there, because obviously that's something that I can't sit there and explain to her, and she can get that from me.
Right.
So I definitely that was something that I had to defer to, because she immediately recognized that, hey, you are not going to be able to explain this to me.
Right. Right.
But that was a curveball that was threw at me, and we handled that. Like, so, at one time, I would start seeing those little wax papers that come in the pads. Like, I started seeing them in the trash cans, and I was like, I said, "Are you using these?" She was like, I said, "Are you using these? Or are you practicing?" She was like, "Oh, I'm just practicing." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. And then sure enough, probably 3 days later, I was at work and I got a call from her mom. This was during when we had 50-50. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm on my way to school. She's in the nurse's office. She just had her." And I was like, "No worries."
Right.
Go
ahead.
She knew exactly what to do. That was the plan.
Right.
She needed to be in the nurse's office, And then, when she was little, it was easy to go in the front of Target and get those little training bras. That was easy.
Right.
They packs of 10. That was easy. But then once she started developing, I was like, "Oh, what do I do?" So, again, it helps to have, some type of support team where you can ask people. And I was like, well, she's no longer in the front. So I can't get the little training bras from, the front of Target.
Right.
Like, what do I do now?
Right.
And somebody explained to me, to take her to Victoria's Secret. I was like, Victoria's? I was like, no. I was like, it was like, no, they'll measure her and you can get her size. And you take that size and you go to, someplace like Target or, somewhere else like that. So, sure enough, went through, got the sizes, from Victoria's Secret. And we went to Target and I just grabbed every single one that was that size.
Right.
And she went to the dressing room and I just threw them all over the dressing room. I was like, "Here, try those on. Let me know, how it is." I don't, luckily, there was somebody there, another. She was like, I'll ask you. You need help, Dad? So.
Right.
This world is set up with a whole bunch of moms that be like, "Okay, no, don't worry, Dad, I got you.
Right.
Don't worry, Dad, I got." And
that's good. How do you have time for downtime and personal time? How do you balance being a business owner, a full-time dad with downtime, or do you get downtime?
Right now is no downtime. My downtime is I really don't have any downtime. So with the business going, I have to make sure that the business is still going. And with my daughter being in sports, I'm an assistant coach on her, athletic team in school. That's what I consider downtime. When I'm able to spend time with my daughter and, assistant coach on her team and, practice with her when she's not playing, what I consider my downtime. Any other time than that, if I can give you a nap in here or there, like I'll give you a nap.
That's
in,
success,
like,
right?
yeah,
That's success.
yeah. And then full circle, like I said, I was raised by my mom. My mom is older now, so I take care of my mom as well
Right.
as my daughter.
Right.
So
You're in the
downtime
sandwich generation.
Yeah. So downtime. If I do have downtime, there's something that I should be doing that's not getting done.
Hey, but
So
you must recharge. You must
you're
recharge.
right.
So let me talk to you real quick about the tips for fathers, because as you see, that's really important for me to get in before we wrap up in the next 5 minutes. So for the fathers out there that are facing what you are potentially, what you face and are considering kind of what to do, what are some 5 tips, quick tips you can give to fathers who are thinking about going to get custody or even joint custody? What would you say to them?
Okay, so first of all, like I'm so glad like this is not rehearsing anything, because this is straight coming from my heart and my experience. Like when I talk to my bros out there and other guys out there, the first tip at the top of the list is do not get in your own way. And what I mean by that is when you're in a relationship with a woman, or any type of relationship that's really close, you're intimate, you're sleeping with this woman, you guys have had a child together, you guys know how to hurt each other. So there's things that, both of you guys can say to each other that will really hurt each other, and there'll be triggers. Like, so she will know how to hurt you, and you will know how to hurt her verbally. Of course you guys shouldn't be, hurting each other physically, but verbally. And then when that happens, you can't react, because whatever reaction you do as a guy is very intimidating. And that's when the court, I feel, they do favor the mom. If there's any type of physical or emotional abuse that you have inflicted on the mother of your child, I think the court has a big ear to that.
Right.
And I think that that's where a lot of men, they fall in, because once that's documented, and I mean documented by, and maybe you got arrested, or maybe, it was on cell phone, maybe it was through text, you send her some text messages, you said this or that. Once that's documented, that does play a factor in court.
Right.
And as a man, this world, it's a woman's world. It's a woman's world. Like it is.
Especially in this Me Too movement. Especially in this movement.
Definitely now in 2019. So
right.
As a man, you always have to, my biggest tip is to walk away.
Right.
Whether that's a text message that, I mean, type out the text message, type it out.
And then delete it.
Respond. Yeah. Get it all out there and just be like, and just delete it.
Okay.
Don't send it.
I'm getting the eyes. So give us some more tips. Make them quick.
Let's see. That's one. The second tip is just be in your child's life. Be connected with your child. Don't go by hearsay. Oh, how's my child doing? No, be in your child's life. Your child in any type of sports, like be there. There. Be a part of it. If you can't be there, financially be there. Buy her the gloves she needs, the basketball she needs, the training she needs. Just be in your child's life.
What about the court? What advice do you have about preparing for court or going to court?
Preparing for court is just, those come in line with it. Like, you just don't get in your own way. Don't do anything that you can get yourself in trouble, like documentation-wise. Like, if you go to court, you cannot go to court when you have physically or emotionally abused a woman, like, because that won't play in your favor. So don't be scared to go to court. But you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared, and you have to, when I say be prepared, like, you can't have gotten into your own way by doing anything that's documented against you. And if you were, sometimes the judge, depending on the judge, they may overlook it, but you don't even want to be in that position. So The court filing, go to family. If you don't have the money for a lawyer, which I never had money for a lawyer, and I got custody twice and 50-50 custody one time, and I never had money for a lawyer. I always went through the family law court, and I even got the fee waivers. So I really was like, it was no out-of-pocket expense. So,
so you're just saying, just believe in yourself and get it done at the end of the day.
Believe in yourself and get it done, and you don't have to have a lot of money. Like, I never hired a lawyer. I never really paid those fees. I always signed for the fee waiver. Like, just, it's possible. It's achievable. You can do it. Like, don't think because you're a guy that you can't have custody of your daughter or your son. I have custody of my daughter, and it was, not one, not two, but three different judges that felt
that believed in your case.
That believed in my case. Like, and that's all we are. We are case numbers. So don't get into, oh, she's that, or she's that. Like, it's just a case number. Those judges are like, next case.
That's a great point. And Sylvester, I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to come and share with dads around the world how you have custody and how you are making this work in 2019.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming on the show. Again, this is...
I appreciate the platform, to be able to, just say this. And if just, one brother's out there help, one guy is helped by anything that I said or encouraged, then it's all worth it, And you can reach out to me on, like I shot at my Instagram at megapotatostuff.com. DM me if, you have any questions. Like, I'm available for that. I'm all for that. If we can't help each other, then what are we on this earth for?
Wow. That's a perfect way to end the show. Thank you so much. Again, this is Demetria L. Graves, and you are listening to Legalish on Dash Talk X. Until next time.
Somebody tell me the answers. Me and you isn't the answer. Me and you isn't. Maybe I'm telling myself that, but there ain't nothing that'll change that. What good would it be if I knew how you felt about me? Yeah. It could have been right, but I was wrong. Only think about you and I'm alone. Part of me that cared is gone, and I know that I can't get caught up. We could have been, and we try to pretend every now and again. We don't dream about, don't think about what we could have been. No, I'm holding it in, cause I know in the end, you dream about, I think about what we could have been. We could have been, we could have, damn, yeah. Remember the night in Miami. First time you put your arms around me. I'm up reminiscing, yeah. And thinking about you isn't helping. Thinking about you doesn't tell me what good it would do if I decide to face the truth. It could have been right, but I was wrong. Only think about you and no. You only hit me up when she's not home, and that's why I can't get caught up. We could have been, and we try to pretend every now and again. We don't dream about, don't think about what we could have been. Oh, yeah. I'm holding it in, cause I know in the end, you dream about, I think about what we could have been. We could have been. We could have. We could have been. We could have been. We could have been. Yeah. We could have been.
We could have been what we should have been. If I wasn't If I wasn't with somebody, if we gotta hide it, what's the point of trying? I ain't just your friend, no, what's the point of lying? Trying to sell a story, ain't nobody buying. Look me in my eyes, don't that feel nice? Why should it end? Baby, I could've been him or your friend. Just say what and when, where to make a trip. Baby, make a wish, be the one I'm with. Should've been a, should've, could've, would have been. Hey. Yeah, I would have been. Damn. Yeah, I would have been.
We could